Most people in life are looking for how do I remain safe in my own home, in my own personhood, with my own legal documentation and my own personal property. You see, in life, we go out into the world and we make a living. We produce an income. We are employees. We are an employer. We are producing a business life. We are generating revenue for our life. And we don't expect someone we don't know, a total stranger or an acquaintance, to get into our home, steal our legal documentation, modify our medical records, infiltrate our life, steal our life's possessions, attack our antiques, destroy our photographs, remove our bookshelves of books that we owned for a lifetime and that cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars in overseas travel, and we most certainly don't expect someone we love to do this to us. In life, we have moments of time to prove who we are in front of God's house. Now, when I talk about this as a pastor or a lay pastor or someone about to procure a certificate as a pastor, I expect people to listen. I expect people in this land to start looking at their lives and saying, you know what? There's always a jumping off point. There's always a tipping point when my soul will remove itself from my being and I will travel in the spirit world in front of the Lord God Jesus in heaven. Whether or not you believe in God is never the issue, is it? Because if you don't believe in God, you'll still go there. And if you do believe in God, you'll definitely go there. The question is, what monster will you be meeting along the way? What I mean by monster is that as we're traveling in life's journey, we have to decide what kind of a monster we're going to be. You see, there are monsters that lie, steal, and cheat from people's lives. There are monsters that rape people. There are monsters in the land that take paperwork, destroy it, and try to remove a person's history from the world. There are monsters that infiltrate communities. There are monsters that infiltrate computers. There are monsters that destroy people's medical rights. There are monsters that are mothers, sisters, brothers. And in that case, in that regard, the entire human race is interrelated in some way, shape, or form through relatives and associations because, let's face it, we begat long ago and we became a populace, a nation, a world, with nations all around the globe, with different populations of people, different languages, different ethnic centers, and different cultural mores. The reality is, a Mexican man tried to give me food yesterday. I had literally just eaten and I didn't want the food wasted. He spoke no English, I speak little to no Spanish, and it was an absolute ridiculous problem for me because I would have loved to have eaten the food at another time, just not that moment in time on their Cinco de Mayo celebration. I had literally just come from eating. I had just spent some of my last money on eating and providing for myself. If he had been 10 minutes earlier, if he had been an hour earlier, I might have accepted with greater graciousness. But if I can't speak his language and he can't speak my language, we had an interesting conversation. He's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm like, it is a problem because I don't want it and I don't want to take food off someone else's table without paying for it because I don't know what my obligations are in that social culture. So what did I do today? I spent $1.06 out of my own pocket that normally goes for food, and I purchased myself a Spanish-English dictionary. I have not spoken Spanish since the 9th grade when my teacher literally pushed me out of her class. She was such a monster about her attitudes in Spanish and how great she thought she was and how poor we were as children that I just said, you know what, no more. I'm not putting my soul in front of a woman who can't love children. My 8th grade teacher, on the other hand, made Spanish speaking fun. She encouraged us all. She didn't treat us any different from one another. She told us we could all do it, and she never had favorites in her class, not once. The 9th grade teacher in high school was a little bit more difficult and a lot more picky about who she liked, who she didn't, and openly she was offensive in how she kept calling me a name that wasn't mine. And that was out of control. So I moved on. I went on to college. I took and actually tested out of Spanish despite having missed several years of it in high school, but I didn't continue with it. I had a good instructor. I took a couple courses, but I ended up moving over to Japanese, which I loved. I was going to do Korean, but my mom convinced me to do Japanese. Now, when I tell this story, I'm telling you the truth. I then moved abroad. I lived overseas. I produced for myself a family in an odd sort of way, but it still worked. I lived in the countryside where I was the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed when I still had hair in town, and I made a relationship with a lot of people who gifted me many beautiful things. All of which I remember who gave me what, where it came from, how I got it, how much it cost if I paid for it, and openly where I got it from, for the most part. Someone has monkeyed in those items and removed some of their papers, which pisses me off because the wrapping in Japanese culture is so impeccably important, and how it's wrapped is a special way where there's only one piece of tape. The bottom line is that when I give those things to someone else, if I purchased them overseas or if I got them locally because some homestay person didn't understand its value and just stuck it into a second-hand shop or put it into an antique store, that's up to me to decide its value is not true. I got it for a steal and know how much its value is. But in life, when some more monster decides to go into a person's home goods storage unit and steal from them improperly, illegally, immorally from God's house, it is beyond control. People lie, steal, and cheat from people every single day in this land. I literally went into a shop to try and procure myself a space in a place in the back so that I could make phone calls, get on possibly a computer in there, and get my life back on track. I asked that woman the question, and she said, "I've got to talk to my husband." And I'm sitting there thinking, why? Does he pay the bill here? Is he in charge of your shop? Or is he just a support figure? But you know what they ended up doing to me? They offered me a piece of pizza and they laced it with a sleeping agent. I fell immediately asleep, and what did I wake? Every groggly moment, to see a child getting in and out of my bags, pilfering dragons, colored dragons that somehow miraculously came back into my bag. So I'm missing some dragons. And they're toys. They're my toys. They're things I purchased, and I'd already been stolen from in my apartment home of those things. Now, when I go to my storage unit, I find things moved around all the time. I find monstrously that people have damaged my antiques, completely obliterated my organization, stolen lifelong dictionaries from my Japanese language program, and openly put other things back that should have never disappeared in the first place. This is a monstrous game that people are playing in my property. It is an ugliness that Jesus Christ himself would roll over in his tomb if he was able to see is not true. He sees it every single day. That the world of men is really the world of men. The world of the Lord is one of love, honor, regard, and dignity for a human life, for love, for peace, for prosperity, and for the magic in the house of the Lord. I literally just walked into this Goodwill store to purchase the dictionary because God said, "There's a dictionary there, go buy it." Therefore I did. The day before, the God said there was a pair of pants for me. I bought it. Now I passed on a pair of South Park pants today that I thought were kind of fun because I don't think she'll like me in those pants. Her son would probably look pretty good in them, and they're probably about the same size now. But the reality is, when a person is in love, they do everything in their power to prove it. They might lose their life, they might gain their life, they might put more effort into life, but if they lose that love, they don't know what to do with themselves. They are passionate, they are purposeful, they are permanent in love. You see, the Lord selects who is supposed to be for us. And when we don't listen to God, we don't get what's what. When we don't know what's what, we can't say what's what. And there's always some shithead who wants to roll up on you and mess with you. You know, it's amazing to me how that happens in a lot of places, that men just think they're going to do what they want and feel what they feel and not think about the personal space of others. But I'm getting off track. My point is that personal space, personhood, paperwork, and property are the things that a man chooses, and a woman can provide none of that to a man. In life, we have moments of time to make all the difference in the world for a person, and when we decide what kind of individual we are, that's how we know what audio cast to produce. But when we don't decide what kind of person we are, when we think we're hot shit, when we think we're anything other than what we are, we aren't getting anywhere in life. In life, we have moments of time to help someone, we have moments of time to be something for someone, and when that person calls and that moment comes, it often passes because we allow other people to infiltrate that moment, to destroy the relationship trust, to interfere with our opportunities in life, and to steal from us the property that we openly possess under the lawful rights of the land and in the lawful rights of God's house. In life, you have one moment of time to prove who you are in front of the Lord with every single human being you meet along life's journey. Tuesdays with Maury is not the same as the book once meant to be. What we're talking about is making a difference and an impact on a human being's life. When my father was ill, I was the first person to see him every morning. I went with him to breakfast, but there was a monstrous cafeteria manager who just thought I was there for the free breakfast. My father would have paid willingly that simple $5 meal for me to be with him because he was a faller at that point in time. I put him in a crash helmet above all my other siblings who never even thought of that because he was falling and his head was the most important part of his being. In truth, to keep his mind sharp, we had to make sure it was protected. In life, we have one moment to tell someone, I love you. I love you, my love. Come soon.